Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Disney. Disney has hired a new chief financial officer to hide from Nelson Peltz, one of the investors trying to get Disney to focus on fixing the company. And this new CFO could actually turn into the new CEO. I will explain how. I will explain why. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Here's what's going on. So Disney announced that they've hired finally a new chief financial officer. A chief financial officer is very important to a company, especially a multi-billion-dollar company like Disney. A chief financial officer will certify that yes, the finances of this company are under control. The future strategy for this company seems to make some sense. We've got enough money and credit lines to operate. Everything is normal. Don't worry about this company. It also allows you to hide things that happened in the past. So for all of the crazy accounting going on at Disney with respect to spending tens of billions of dollars to acquire the company Fox, everyone knows Disney overpaid for. They still haven't taken an expense for that, saying, okay, look, $52 billion buying Fox after they sold some of the company off. It was not worth that much money, so we're going to take a loss for $10 or $20 billion to get things back in line with what our books should show. This CFO that Disney is bringing in has no background in entertainment, does not have a background that fits with the theme parks. The reason he's coming into the company is he's very well respected. He comes from Pepsi. He's the current CFO of Pepsi. He's also the vice chairman of Pepsi. But does he know anything about entertainment? Can he question anything that Bob Iger has ever done in the past? No, he can't. Doesn't know about it. So everything that Bob Iger explains to the new CFO, Hugh Johnston, when he says, hey, Hugh, look, this is how we account for our entertainment projects. This is how we account for our theme park stuff. This is how we account for what we're doing with streaming. Everything has to be taken at face value because really, Hugh Johnston's a respected guy. He's a nice guy, it seems like. He's well respected on Wall Street, but it's not like he knows anything different from what Bob Iger has to say. This is exactly the kind of person that Bob Iger would bring in to vouch for every decision Disney has ever made while Bob Iger was CEO, and then eventually potentially be the next CEO. Because what Bob Iger wants to have happen at Disney is nobody needs to go and check and double check any of his prior investments, any of his prior expenses, any of their strange accounting things related to what they've done with their travel business, related to what they've done with accounting for shows and films that they sold themselves at a profit from their production division to their streaming divisions. No one needs to go look at that. Just take Bob Iger's word for everything. And why would Hugh Johnston want to do something like this as a reputable guy? Well, he's a CFO of Pepsi. He's the vice chairman of Pepsi. He ain't going to be the CEO of Pepsi. And you know something? When people get up to these high levels of these companies, they're not interested in making lateral moves, meaning they're not looking to be at the same level at one big company that they are at another big company, unless they're forced out for some reason. Nobody's forcing out Hugh Johnston. Hugh Johnston is making a lateral move to Disney because he knows Bob Iger isn't going to be staying as CEO, and maybe he's going to be CEO. I give it at least a 50-50 chance, probably a little bit higher, because this is at present a lateral move. CFO of PepsiCo to CFO of Disney. Let's get into some more details. The biggest thing on Bob Iger's mind is how to dodge Nelson Peltz. Nelson Peltz and Nelson Peltz's close friend, Ike Perlmutter, former CEO of Marvel, would like to see Disney focus on its intellectual property. And as Peltz said in a prior white paper with the company, which is where Peltz makes recommendations to what Disney should be doing better, he's explained he'd like to see a better flywheel operating at Disney. A flywheel is one part of the company supports another part of the company, supports another part of the company, and then everything just keeps going faster and faster and more successfully. Disney used to have this incredibly well down. Even before Marvel, sure, when they had Marvel, things were working great for them in licensing and film and had all kinds of opportunities of things they could have been doing with their theme parks. But even prior to that, Disney would create some intellectual property, do a successful film, get a tremendous amount of licensing, create a tremendous amount of interest with that character at their theme parks. This is what Disney should be doing, and this is what Disney would be doing if they weren't so focused on being woke. Woke characters can never be great characters because they're focused on representation. They're focused on physical attributes rather than relatable story ideas. So at least as long as Bob Iger is CEO, if not longer, Disney will never be fixed. Well, Nelson Peltz wants to fix that because it's really actually an easy fix. There's no reason that Disney has to exclude 50% or more of their normal customers by pushing agenda on customers, except that happens to be what Bob Iger personally wants to do. Even the woke people weren't asking Disney to make these changes, at least not their customers. Maybe it came from the top, from some powerful political people, but it certainly wasn't their customers saying, oh, you need to change The Little Mermaid. Oh, you need to create female superheroes that don't make any sense from a story standpoint and replace all the Marvel characters or replace all the Star Wars characters with female characters that made no sense. Customers weren't asking for that, and Bob Iger well knows that that is what Peltz wants to return Disney to. Successful intellectual property and story creation, so they have valuable intellectual properties that can be driven throughout licensing, theme parks, future sequels, and all these other distribution opportunities they have, like with the streaming service. From Bloomberg, Disney's new CFO has experience with Nelson Peltz, not media. Executive helped fend off the activist investor at Pepsi. Entertainment giant faces strategic business challenges. Just so you're aware, and I've been following these kinds of things for several years now, it's very unusual to go and hire a chief financial officer who has a background in fighting off one specific activist investor. I've never seen that ever happen before. And while Disney hasn't made any public announcement saying, yeah, well, we hired this guy, Hugh Johnston, because we know he was successful fighting with Nelson Peltz, and we want his inside ideas on fighting Nelson Peltz, and we want him to stand up to him and get the respect of Wall Street. Even though Disney's never said that, just the fact that the guy has no media experience, zero media experience, which is why Disney's been saying, we can't have Nelson Peltz on our board of directors. He has no media experience. Well, neither does your chief financial officer. So what's your explanation for that, Disney? Of course, there's no explanation. It's just that Bob Iger is absolutely religiously obsessed with not moving away from the woke agenda. PepsiCo's Hugh Johnston will find a familiar face when he joins Walt Disney Company next month as Chief Financial Officer. Activist investor Nelson Peltz. Johnston, who has been Pepsi's CFO since 2010, was a key player in fending off Trian Fund Management, that's Peltz's company, 10 years ago, when his founder Peltz began pushing the soft drink and snack giant to either merge with a rival or split off into two businesses. Johnston argued against the proposal. Pepsi added a Peltz advisor to its board in 2015, and Trian sold its shares the following year. So Peltz was eventually able to add someone to their board and was successful in doing that. What Peltz wasn't able to do was to get them to merge Pepsi with another company or sell off their snack division. But he did get someone on the board of directors. But with Hugh Johnston there, Pepsi did a nice job convincing the street that it had a growth plan for the company. Peltz is now seeking several board seats at Disney after amassing a $2.5 billion stake in the company. He dropped a similar push earlier this year after Disney Chief Executive Officer Bob Iger announced a cost-cutting plan. But Disney's stock has continued to underperform the S&P 500, losing about 3% of its value this year. Disney announced the appointment of Johnston as its new CFO early Monday. He succeeds longtime executive Christine McCarthy, who stepped down for family medical leave in June. The new CFO is expected to bring a seasoned hand to other issues at Disney. The world's largest entertainment company is struggling to navigate the shift by consumers from traditional TV channels to streaming services. Iger, who returned to run Disney a year ago, has said he may sell networks like ABC. He's looking for a strategic partner for his ESPN sports business and intends to buy Comcast Corp's 1/3 of the Hulu streaming service they do not own. Johnston, who first joined Pepsi in 1987, was considered the right hand to CEO Indira Nooyi before she retired in 2018. He's continued to advise Pepsi's current boss, Ramon Laguarta, in his efforts to grow the business, such as the $3.85 billion purchase of Rockstar energy drink. Other strategic moves have included an attempt to address consumer concerns about healthy eating by making smaller containers of soda and snacks, such as the company's Doritos and Cheetos. Under Johnston, Pepsi has become known for making and beating conservative financial forecasts. The executive has often been the public face of the company on Wall Street in investor presentations and TV appearances. That could potentially make him a candidate to succeed Iger, whose contract runs through 2026, according to Citigroup. Johnston, who serves on the board of Microsoft and HCA Healthcare, doesn't have any direct experience in movies, TV, or theme parks, Disney's core businesses. When Johnston joined the board of Twitter in 2016, many observed that he didn't have an account on the social media site beforehand. Quote, Twitter Inc. may have found an answer to its problems of user growth, add non-users to the company's board, and get them to start tweeting. MarketWatch wrote at the time, man, they are funny at MarketWatch. In an address at his alma mater, Syracuse University, in 2012, Johnston said, new challenges are the key to professional growth. Quote, if you constantly work on developing yourselves and the skills you possess, you will stay fresh and be able to transform in any environment or market that you are in. He then gave everybody cans of Pepsi, which is fantastic. I like drinking Diet Pepsi. Well, it looks like Bob Iger has found his first CEO candidate to succeed him when he leaves. In the meantime, Bob Iger will work with this CFO like a right-hand person, just like that person did, just like you did when he was working with the CEO of Pepsi. Iger will explain all of their accounting procedures and all of their accounting principles. None of them will be questioned by the new CFO, who has no experience in media anyway, and who's also very anxious to eventually become the CEO of Disney. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.